business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here with week 37 of It's Business Time, and we are joined this week by Debbie Gill, owner of Go Within Spiritual Coaching and author of Struck by Lightning, My Journey from the Shadow to the Light.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, Debbie, let me sit back here a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. We met through a very good place for business people, business-minded people to meet and network through the Delaware Business First and Black Chamber of Commerce sponsored third Tuesdays of the month, powered by King Creative. Got to make sure to get everybody involved in there.
Yes.
Really a wonderful community of people, like-minded people coming together and kind of sharing stories and information and networks and things like that. So glad you reached out and we were able to finally put this together.
Yes.
and get on the podcast
Yes,
here.
I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick before we jump into everything, I do always like to give in that same vein of the Delaware Business Third Tuesdays,
Right.
give a shout out to Stitch House here for having us.
Yes.
They are right here on Market Street. They always have 12 beers on tap, great food. They are a small business as well. So make sure to stop through and support your local community, your local business. They're right here on Market Street. And with that, we're rolling. So again, Debbie Gill, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You have such an amazing story between the book and the business. I know we have a ton we can get into it, a ton we can talk about. But what I like to do for kind of a continuity of this series, a lot of the reason I started this series is for those who haven't yet kind of made that flip, who are dreaming about their next business or dreaming about writing a book or dreaming about that next step, to kind of wrap their head around that moment where people kind of shift. So what was it you were doing? Well, actually, here, let me separate these things. Did the book come before the business or the business first?
The book came before the business. I had a company called Go Within Yoga. I was teaching
gotcha.
private yoga. And
Okay.
then I wrote the book, and the Go Within Yoga could not support the book. So I said, what am I
Gotcha.
good at?
Yeah.
So I had 8 things that I was good at, and I said, I'll be a coach. Spiritual, let's go within spiritual coaching, because I had Go Within.
Right.
Because if you don't go within, you go without. And who wants to go without?
Yeah, I saw that on the website. I love that. That's a great phrase. If you don't go within, you go without. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you mentioned something that's actually a really neat little phrase, something I was good at, right? Many people have what they want to do, and that's not always what they're good at. And I think it's a blessing when what you're good at happens to also be what you want to do. Like, I like creating stuff, but I'm good at selling stuff. And so I've wound up in both spaces.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about those early days. What were you doing before you kind of came up with the brand, Go Within, and all that type of stuff? What were you doing before, and then what was that moment that you said, you know what, it's time to set up my own practice, set up my own structure?
Well, it all started with Go Within Yoga, and that was a very strange happening. I sold candles. I was in direct sales with Party Lights, so I did that for 2 decades.
Oh, wow.
And I became a certified yoga teacher, and I was on a cruise with John Holland. It was an Awaken Your Spirit cruise.
Okay.
And I'm driving home from the airport, and I get this download, because I had built an addition for my mother, and it was just sitting there with the furniture in it. And I Go Within Yoga. Oh, I wonder if gowithinyoga.com is open. I ran upstairs, and it was open, so I grabbed it right away.
That's great.
And within 2 months, that addition was transformed into a yoga studio.
Yeah, wow.
So that's it. I just took action. I didn't think about, how am I going to get customers? Because
Right.
that's the fear. I had no fear.
Right. Well, you said the word download. What you had this idea.
Well, an idea comes from the sea of infinite possibilities,
Okay, got
right?
you.
And it just, boom, it came down. And I actually gave birth through the chakras.
Ah.
I read this book, Manifesting Through the Chakras, with Ryan Goodman and Anadea Judith, and I said, I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, when they're searching for inspiration, when they're searching for their next step, everyone kind of does it in different ways. Some people meditate and go to business school. Some people do ayahuasca. Like everybody kind of has their different forms of how they awaken that next chapter. So I don't want to jump ahead or back or jump around too much here. But so your book is based around a really wild life experience. Before we kind of move forward into the Go Within spiritual coaching, the business that you're currently operating, why don't we touch on that a little bit too? Because that is, can you tell us a little bit about what happened and what kind of led you to writing that book as well?
Well,
because it's all connected.
It is all connected.
Yeah.
I would tell stories about what happened to me, and everybody said, "Oh, you've had such a crazy life. You need to write a book."
Yeah, yeah.
And then I met a woman, Lois Hoffman. She's in the chamber,
right. Yep.
And she was a self-publisher.
Okay.
And she helped me. I did a 6-week course on how to write a book.
Right.
And I did brainstorming, and then I took those brainstorming ideas, put them on note cards, and then put them out in chronological order. And those were my chapters.
Okay, gotcha.
So it was very
methodical, yeah.
Right, but originally it was only about my 2 divorces and 28 days in a rehab, my spiritual awakening.
Oh, wow.
But I decided, well, it has to be about everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there was so much more. It was because of Carolyn Mace. I met her and I started studying archetypes.
Okay.
And I said, oh, I need to, because I had so many archetypes that were like jumping out. I said, the book has to have archetypes in it.
Right, right.
And so I asked her how I would do that. And she said, oh, just sprinkle it in between. People love that. And this is before I knew her.
Right, right.
And so I said, okay. So it took me another 2 years to write the book.
Okay, wow. Gotcha. So you were doing the yoga, you met the right people, met the right connections, planned out the book, started writing the book. And then when did and also too, are you still operating the yoga studio? Is that, no, okay.
I'm not.
I just wanted to make sure to give a shout out if you were.
Yeah.
And then so when did the yoga studio and the book kind of transform into the spiritual coaching? And do you mind too, when you're telling this, can you get a little bit into like the structure and the branding too, like switching from one field? Because yoga is almost like, physical performance, and then spiritual coaching is mental performance.
Right. Yeah. Well, I opened up, I had the ribbon cutting in August of 2014 for the Go Within Yoga.
Okay.
And I did that for a couple of years, and that's the book was published in September of 2018.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just transferred it, basically.
Right.
And one of the things that I did keep was meditation, mindful meditation, and all the different breathing techniques.
Right.
That was one of the services that I offered, like Ujjayi breathing. I mean, there's so many different types of breathing.
Yeah. I'm mildly familiar with those. So I was a vocal coach for a number of years.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of that is breathing techniques and face stretches and all those. It's like yoga from the neck up kind of thing.
Yeah, and you can actually breathe into the upper back portion of your lung only.
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I've always subscribed to focusing on the breathing is a good way to kind of like reset a lot of your anxieties, a lot of the things that are going on.
Yeah, so it brings you to the present moment.
Yeah.
Because you cannot breathe and think at the same time.
Yeah. Got you. So what year was it that you kind of moved from yoga into the spiritual coaching, roughly?
It was right after the book, in May of 2018. I set up the website.
Gotcha.
I set up the website, and I had like 8 services, and I had the book, and then I started coaching.
Right.
And I started doing a lot of the belief closet coaching that was in manifesting through the chakras, the book Spiritual Technology of Manifesting Through the Chakras by Anadea and Lion. And then I took Clear Belief Coach training. Okay.
And where was this? Was this around here?
It was online. It was online.
Okay, online.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it was awesome. That's how I do the trauma-informed coaching.
Okay.
Because we do a deep dive into the psyche.
Yeah. Wow.
Deeper than therapists.
And that's what some of this series is about, too, is for those who are looking into getting into similar fields, like what are the resources, what are the paths that they might take.
Right.
And so can you say that one more time? Just
the Clear Beliefs Coach Training.
The Clear Beliefs Coach Training.
If you look clearbeliefs.com.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It's fascinating work.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, that's one of the things that's really neat about the life coaching or the personal training, anything that kind of focuses on leveling oneself up, is there's so many different paths, there's so many different ways to achieve the same goal, which is a more rewarding, fulfilling life. Fulfilling, I guess, is a better...
Well, with me, I'm not really a life coach.
Yeah.
You deal with me. I do the deep dive to heal the childhood trauma, and then you go to life coach.
Oh, okay.
Because life coach, it starts you from where you are, but if you have trauma from the past that's unresolved,
right,
you're going to repeat things. You may be okay for 6 months, but it's all going to come up. It's like that unwanted weed, right?
Yeah.
You have to pull it, not just put dirt over top.
Root.
Yeah.
Understood. Actually, that's a fine time to just kind of clarify the definition, because perhaps I'm not fully aware. So what the difference between spiritual coaching and life coaching? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Life coaching doesn't deal with trauma.
Okay.
I help people deal with their trauma. I do rescuing the inner child.
Okay.
I do voice dialogue and parts work, which is fascinating. You have a part that you keep doing something over and over, and you don't know why you keep doing it. You name that part, and I invite that part out to have a conversation with me. You observe it. You observe it, but you get to know when it was created and why it was created.
Right.
And then the part can say, well, I don't want to hurt her anymore. I want to help her.
Right.
And so the part can get a promotion, actually.
Yeah. No, understood. I went to school for music composition, but I wound up in psychology, and I remember a lot of, at that time, and this is a little while ago, I'm dating myself a bit here, like the 2006-07, they were just kind of starting to realize that naming a problem, naming a trauma, or like putting a name to it can help you address it in different ways.
And you have to walk through it, and it has to be witnessed.
Yeah.
I've learned that through my own trauma.
Yeah.
17 years I was a dry drunk. It means I just put down the drink. I didn't change.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Okay. I mean, just because you don't drink doesn't mean you're sober.
Right. That's fascinating. This is like a whole world I don't know too well. I mean, I've certainly spent time on myself here and there, but yeah, it's I've never heard that term dry drunk.
Yeah, it's a dry drunk syndrome. It's just putting down the drink. But I was still judgmental, critical, impatient, full of rage, taking time on, hating myself and hating others.
Wow.
A real joy to be around.
Yeah, right. No, I think about that in my 20s. I was just I thought the whole world was against me, and I acted like it. And it wasn't until I got some time away from everybody that I realized a lot of the voices were, as they say, the phone call was coming from inside the house. You know, it was, a lot of it was happening internally. It wasn't coming from the outside world. And that was the very beginning. Like you said, like if you don't address the original stuff, you wind up repeating it. That was the very beginning of me realizing that I had been repeating. I had healed myself and then fallen back, and healed myself and fallen back. And I didn't realize that I was falling back because of the weight I was carrying from an outside world that it wasn't really real. I shouldn't say it wasn't real, but it wasn't nearly as influential as I was allowing it to be.
Right.
Wow. Okay, so you've been doing this for 4 years now.
6 years.
6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're right. My math, 2018 and 2024, 6 years. And how do you get most of your customers? This through referrals or friends
and social media.
Social media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, when COVID hit, I was booked solid. I was #1 on Google for shadow work.
Yeah,
I do
wow.
shadow work also.
Okay, shadow work. That's definitely a keyword right there in terms of.
Do you know what it is?
I do. It's something that's kind of come up into the conversation, especially in men's groups. It didn't exist at all 2 years ago in men's groups, and now it's very, very common.
It's projection.
Yeah, right. Well, because that's the thing. I think, and I only say men's groups because I think women have always been a little bit more in tune with like working on themselves and what we now call shadow work. Some, but men have always just kind of, I suffer from depression, but that's just what men do.
You don't want to look there, because if you look there and it's not, you don't like what you see, then other people won't. So you're not even going to, go there. Right. But it's what you don't like in other people is something that you have not come to terms with in yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very you just real. Have to come to terms with it. That's all. Yeah. I mean, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, right.
It's fear-based, really.
Right.
And walk through the fear.
Yeah.
And once you walk through the fear, you never have to do it again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like you said with the weed, if you get down to the root and pull it out, then you don't have to keep snipping the top off every couple.
I'll give you an example of an archetype, the wounded child archetype.
Yeah.
They always explode.
Right.
In anger.
Yeah.
Because something happened to them before 7, really traumatic.
Right.
And they haven't healed it.
Right.
They're in the shadow, and they come into adults and they fly off the handle.
Yep.
And it's because it's their trauma and they're having their temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And for me, what it was is that when my younger brother died, I wasn't allowed to grieve.
Right.
So I stuffed all my grief and anger.
Right.
Where was it going to go?
Right.
Boom. I exploded. And I repeated that pattern over and over again until I faced it. And then it's, I'm in the shadow, so I'm in the light now, so I don't explode in anger anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's for me, it's been a lot of like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Always is. It's growth.
Yeah,
that's growth. That's the way growth is.
And it was
because you have to fail to succeed.
Yeah, yeah. It's really true. And like another piece too for me was like kind of trying to find ways to isolate a variable, meaning like you're in a lot of social environments all the time. It's hard to know whether it's you beating yourself up or your social environment causing anxiety and other problems.
Right.
And so that was the big change for me is when I didn't have a social environment and I still felt all those things.
Right.
That isolating that variable made me realize, where the problem was. But let's talk a little bit more about the actual, like the day-to-day growth here. So COVID was a time when people were calling you off the hook. They were finding you on socials. By the way, is that a good way for people to get in contact with you through socials, like Instagram or Instagram,
more on Facebook, and I started TikTok.
Okay,
I love TikTok. Nice. I put like 1-minute videos, reels, or YouTube. Yeah. I have a YouTube channel.
What's your handle on TikTok?
The Debbie Gill.
The Debbie Gill. I'm gonna put that up here because it's a growing medium. Fingers crossed it doesn't get banned.
My Twitter is the Debbie Gill too.
The Debbie Gill, yeah, because I'll put all this on in post. And then on Facebook, that's a fine way for people to find you, reach out.
Go Within Spiritual Coaching, yes.
Go Within Spiritual Coaching. Okay, gotcha.
And I have an author page, too, which is The Debbie Gill, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, nice. Yeah, at the end here, we'll do a nice little, take some time to put all the links and things like that. It kind of creates a simple 10 to 15 second, block for people to link to there.
And I give a free discovery call for an hour just to see, if I can help you, if we can work together, if you like me, if I like you. I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah, I can see that. There is a lot of that vibe. Some people like straight shooters. Other people like to kind of talk broadly before they get to the heart of things.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to trust me too, because
Right.
I had a client who actually Googled me, researched me, read my book before she even contacted me.
Right.
She said, if this woman can go through that much shame, then I know I'm safe with her.
Right.
Because my shame is all in the books.
Yeah.
I have no secrets.
Yeah.
So it's good to be free.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. I can tell you in this series, like I've definitely talked to a lot of folks who you can tell that they were once a burdened spirit, if you will, and once they took that burden off, they really started to soar.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see.
They have their authentic self.
Yeah, they have their authentic self, right?
And now they live their life purpose.
Yeah, I love that. So
that's what I help people do.
Yeah, yeah. There's the commercial right there. Is live your authentic purpose. So cool. And then so during COVID, you were getting a lot of people coming in. Was there a period, like as you were kind of growing, as you were scheduling and managing folks, was there a period that was uniquely difficult where you were saying to yourself, like, maybe I'm not on the right path?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
What was that like? How'd you get through that?
I just kept doing what I knew that I should be doing because things aren't always that rosy,
Right.
People come and people go, and sometimes COVID made a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people started doing coaching during COVID. And so now I deal with people who are the trauma-based, and a lot of times they're afraid to go there.
Right.
So that makes it a little bit difficult, too.
Yeah, I can only imagine you've had
it's like
some
going to
difficult
therapy.
sessions. Yeah.
Well, the one who researched me, she said in our first session we went deeper than two years of therapy for her.
Wow.
In the first session.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Yeah.
But she trusted me, so I mean, read my book. Yeah, I'm trustworthy.
Yeah,
if I went all through that stuff.
Read the book one more time too, so they can find it. The full title, so they don't get it confused.
Struck by Lightning: My Journey from the Shadow to the Light.
My Journey from the Shadow to the Light.
If you just put my name, Debbie Gill, in Amazon, it comes up the first one.
Well, that's perfect, and I'll put that here too. Struck by Lightning: My Journey from the Shadow to the Light by Debbie Gill. That sounds like a really good place for people to start in terms of getting to know you, building the trust, things like that.
Right.
And then outside of that, like you said, you do the free consultation call or
discovery call.
Because
then I can give you a roadmap. I have a 7-step path to success.
Yeah.
That I can take you from where you are to where you want to be in 6 months, guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you do the work, and if you not where you want to be in 6 months, I will work with you at no charge until you do.
Goodness. That's a guarantee. People throw away the word. They throw around the word guarantee a lot, and that's a great one. Wow.
Yeah, because I know if you do the work, you'll get where you want to be.
Yeah.
Because I know what it takes. Yeah.
So this is great. You've definitely given a good kind of broad look. I do have to ask probably one of the more fascinating questions. Mm-hmm. So, and I haven't read your book yet. I don't always have enough time to do deep dive. I also kind of like to come in a little like fresh, like I don't fully know stuff because I want to learn as we go. So you were struck by lightning.
I was, in a blizzard.
In a blizzard. Well, can you tell that story?
There's 3 things. I was born in Pickle, I got struck by lightning, and I imported a husband from Germany that didn't speak English.
Goodness. So I don't think we have time to get to all of them. But just because earlier today I was talking to someone in Lower Delaware, and I said, I have to run. I have to get up to Stitch House. I have an interview with Debbie Gill. And he said, I think I know her. Why do I know her? And I said, she wrote a book. She was struck by lightning. And he immediately goes, I read her book. She's awesome. So, that's a good claim to fame. Like, of all the claim to fames, in a blizzard, too. How did you find yourself in that situation?
I was at the University of Delaware.
Okay.
And it was the first day of spring classes. It was February.
Wow.
And I'm walking to class. It was snowing.
Right.
It wasn't the full blizzard yet, but it was looking like it. I had an umbrella coming back. Coming back because it was a blizzard then.
Yeah.
And I saw this pink thing in the sky, and I saw 2 pictures of me, black and white pictures of when I was 2.
Oh, my goodness.
And the next day, I said, I'm dead. I mean, that's the thought. Wow. And the next thing I know, I'm on my back. And 6 people are looking down at me and saying, are you okay? You just got thrown 5 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you saw a pink light.
Yeah.
And then you had like the flashback, because I've had those flashback, the black and white pictures of childhood.
Have you?
Way
Wow.
less dramatic. I was actually like 12 years old, and I was hanging out. This is up in Maine. It was like a big like clam bake, and there was a bunch of scallops sitting on the back of a truck, and one of them was open, and you could see its pink kind of like belly. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was a kid, and I went to touch it, and it snapped shut. And as it snapped and I pulled my finger back, I had very clear images of when I was a baby.
Wow.
And I didn't realize until later that was a version of my life flashing before my eyes.
Yeah.
But certainly not as intense as the lightning, but the vividness that you described. So did you then like kind of like go to the hospital and get checked out?
That's
like,
funny.
What was your system rewired? Like, this
Okay.
is wild.
You know, it did get rewired.
Yeah.
But you know, I was born a pickle. I was born an addict, right?
Right.
And the first time
gotcha.
I drank at 14, I was a binge drinker.
Wow.
By the time I was in college at 19, I was a blackout drunk.
Oh my goodness.
I was bad.
Yeah.
I was bad.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me, I called my mother. She said, go to the hospital. I said, no. I said, they don't have any alcohol. You know, I went up to my dorm, and no lie, 4 nights and 4 days, I drank and passed out until the severe pain went away.
Wow.
And then I started having my eyes cross like that, involuntarily.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went to an ophthalmologist, and he said, your eyes are fine. But of course they were, because it was. I found out 10 years later when I was having these spasms, like so many, like I almost fell down, like 20 a day. And I had a 24-hour EEG.
Yeah.
And I have ocular conversion spasms where the wires misfire in my brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness. You really do have a story. I'm so glad that you put it to paper. That's in the book as well.
Oh, there's so many more. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had so many close deaths.
Yeah, and I mean, even just yesterday, this is a little bit of a reschedule. We won't get into it, but it's like, you're a trooper. That's all I can say. You are a trooper. You keep on moving.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. No matter how much pain I'm in. I mean, because the lightning strike gave me so much pain. I had nerve damage, nerve pain all over. Everything, all the tests were normal.
Yeah.
And then they pumped me up with drugs. This is right before I was on like 7 narcotic pills. And then 1,800 milligrams of Neurontin. But then one day I said, I'm done. And I woke up and I said, I'm done. And within 2 weeks, I had no pain, no discomfort, no withdrawal, nothing.
Wow.
And so I asked Carolyn Mace, my guru, my mentor, I said, how did I do that? She said, how miracles occur. 4 things have to happen.
Okay.
1, you have to be living in present time.
Right.
2, I was living within the law of balance. 3, I had cut my psychic weight. I'd cut the cords to my psychic weight, which is all anger, resentment. You know, I'd healed that.
Right.
And then the 4th thing is that you have to be strong enough to stand in your center and not need validation to this miracle occur.
Right.
Some people can't handle miracles.
Yeah.
Oh, do you believe this happened? You know,
Right.
That was my. I've had miracles.
Yeah.
I had visions that came true in rehab 2 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah. I had movies play.
You are clearly in the right field, helping people get on and stay on the right track.
I have the wounded healer archetype.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I help people walk the path that I walked.
Wow.
That's why God let me live after having 4 or 5 near-death experiences.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, I definitely have to have you back at some point. I'm going to read the book between now and when I have you back.
Reads like fiction.
Yeah, I bet it sounds like it. Before we go, I do want to make sure to give a real quick commercial, how people can find you. The best way to find you is probably through your website, I would imagine.
Go Within Spiritual Coaching.
Go Within spiritualcoaching.com. We'll put that up here. And that's got all the links, everything. Everyone needs to find you.
And you get free downloads for free guides, too. So.
Yeah, awesome. And you know, in the interest of, I know I could talk to you for a while, in the interest of keeping these digestible, right around 20-25 minutes there. So check out Debbie Gill, gowithinspiritualcoaching.com. Also, check out the book on Amazon as well.
Struck by Lightning.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you again so much for joining.
And Facebook, then
Facebook,
YouTube, TikTok,
all the socials.
Twitter, yep.
As long as it's Debbie Gill and Go Within Spiritual Coaching, yeah, I'll get all those up here and make sure that people can find you there. But Debbie, thank you again so much for joining. It's Business Time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we'll have to have you through again at some point once I've read the book, so I can really sink into it.
Oh,
okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm halfway done.
Oh yeah. So
I'm halfway done.
All right, I'll make sure to keep that link and text me the best place they can find that, and I'll put that link up for the podcast.
And if anybody
here as well.
reads the book and wants to be interviewed, if they resonate with a chapter, I will interview them for my podcast. Yeah, so I'm looking for people to interview.
I love the network. That's what's so great about this area, about Wilmington, is the network we'll create. So I'll definitely make sure to put a link up to that
and
as well.
And I'm interviewing Carolyn Mace. Carolyn Mace, Mace.com, M-Y-S-S. She is,
all right.
This is my dream.
Yeah, Mace.com.
This is big. This This could be my big break.
Okay.
She's got 1 million followers.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely make sure people can find Carolyn Mace at Mace.com.
She's done work with Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, all of them.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
great mentor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it, and it's got to go like it's always nice to have someone that you can look up to, and then also make sure to find people that you can pass lessons along to as well.
Yeah, everything I teach is from her.
Yeah.
I mean, she is so wise.
Yeah. Wow.
I love it.
Well, you're definitely in the right field. I appreciate you coming through so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie Gill joining the pod. That's it for week 37 of It's Business Time. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out.
Thank
and
you.
We will see you next time.